Welcome back, friends. You are listening to the Juicebox Podcast.
Hi, Scott. My name's Natalie. I'm so excited to talk to you today. I feel like I'm talking to a celebrity, actually. So I'm 47. I live in Canada. I'm a type 1 diabetic. I have been since I was 10 years old. And I like to think of myself as somebody that's learned to really kind of thrive with diabetes as much as I can, because I don't see there being any other way. But it didn't always start like that. And I think that that's kind of what I want to talk about today.
Just in time for the holidays, Cozy Earth is back with a great offer for Juicebox Podcast listeners. That's right, Black Friday has come early at CozyEarth.com, and right now you can stack my code JUICEBOX on top of their site-wide sale, giving you up to 40% off in savings. These deals will not last, so start your holiday shopping today by going to CozyEarth.com and using the offer code JUICEBOX at checkout. While you're listening, please remember that nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise. Always consult a physician before making any changes to your healthcare plan or becoming bold with insulin. This episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by US Med, usmed.com/juicebox, or call 888-721-1514. US Med is where my daughter gets her diabetes supplies from, and you could too. Use the link or number to get your free benefit check and get started today with US Med. This episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by the Omnipod 5, and at my link, omnipod.com/juicebox, you can get yourself a free, what'd I just say? A free Omnipod 5 starter kit. Free? Get out of here. Go click on that link, omnipod.com/juicebox. Check it out. Terms and conditions apply. Eligibility may vary. Full terms and conditions can be found at omnipod.com/juicebox. Links in the show notes. Links at juiceboxpodcast.com.
Hi, Scott. My name's Natalie. I'm so excited to talk to you today. I feel like I'm talking to a celebrity, actually. And from our little conversation we just had, though, I have to say one thing. It feels weird to hear your voice normal and not sped up, because I listen to so many podcasts and I want to get all the information in. So I listen to them on like 2.5 sometimes. So talking to you right now was so weird for me.
I hope it gets more normal as we're going.
Right, exactly. So I'm 47. I live in Canada. I'm a type 1 diabetic. I have been since I was 10 years old. And I like to think of myself as somebody that's learned to really kind of thrive with diabetes as much as I can, because I don't see there being any other way. But it didn't always start like that. And I think that that's kind of what I want to talk about today.
No, that'll be exciting. I'd love that.
Mm-hmm.
You listen to a lot of podcasts?
I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I really got into yours about 2 years ago. And then I got very obsessed. And anytime I could listen, I listened in the car. I listened while I'm cleaning. I'm listening at work. I'm listening on my walks all the time. And like I said to you earlier today, too, I learned something new every time that I listen to your podcast. So it's been really inspiring for me. It's been really helpful for other people as well. People in my life, people that I'm trying to get to listen to your podcast as well. And just this chronic thing that we have and will have for the rest of our lives is never ending. Like, as far as learning goes, there's something to learn all the time.
Yeah.
And I found the best way in my 36 years of doing this is finding you guys, finding your podcast.
Oh, I'm so happy.
Mm-hmm.
Aside of my show, what other kinds, like, you don't have to give me the titles, but what other kind of topics do you like to listen to?
Oh, lots of other fitness and nutrition kind of things, lots of wellness podcasts. I also listen to like Joe Rogan. Like, I feel like you're like the Joe Rogan of the diabetes space. I listen to a lot of political things. I listen to a lot of parenting things, just a lot of everything. If I want to learn about something, that's where I go, is to podcasts first, because I know that's where I'm going to find anything out that I want to find.
Natalie, I'm going to ask you a question, okay?
Yeah.
I've heard that said about me, and people have meant it nicely and people have meant it terribly. How do you mean it?
Well, I mean it like, I feel like for you, you're a truth speaker as well. You're not afraid to say things that people don't want to hear. You talk about things that are, what's the word? Like, you're going to get email about, and you're going to be like, I can't believe you're pushing this and stuff like that. Kind of like the GLP-1 space, which I'm thankful you started talking about, because I've been doing it now for over a year, and you're the first place I heard it from. So, just things like that, I guess. And I really like that you're also very sweet, like you just come across as really empathetic to people. And it's just a good podcast. Even if you're not diabetic or know anybody, it's a good podcast.
Oh, I appreciate you saying that, especially from a person who listens to a lot of different kinds of podcasts. I take that as a big compliment.
Yeah.
It's funny. Like I wouldn't care about, somebody's politics or anything like that. But I think there are a couple of people who do it really well.
Yeah.
And I just mean by storytelling and, being interested in things that maybe sometimes people aren't really always interested in, and actually not pretending, but deeply being interested in. Even just what was it this morning? Oh, quarterback. This is probably going to not be on your radar, but this guy named Mark Sanchez, I think drafted by the Jets originally, never really did well, bounced around a little bit in the NFL. I get this alert on my phone the other day. He's been stabbed. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's crazy, And then a day later it comes out, it's like he attacked somebody apparently, and they stabbed him, apparently self-defense or who knows why. And I hear the story and it's building, and I figure eventually we'll get more and more of it. But what I'm most captured by is I wonder why that happened.
Yeah.
It sucks that somebody had to stab somebody to defend themselves, or that somebody got into all that aside. Like, how does that happen? How does a guy who extensively has enough money to live his life and seems to be gainfully employed, and does he end up in that situation? Like that, deep down interests me.
Right.
That kind of level of interest, I try to apply to everybody I'm talking to.
Yeah.
And even when it's sort of small things that I think most people wouldn't even see that there's a conversation there. I sometimes even listen back to my own conversations that I'm having with people, and I think, there was a sentence spoke right there, and that would have been a good 10-minute U-turn. We should have split off there and talked about that more. And I'm just generally and genuinely both very interested in people. So I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
And I love getting information that way too, from podcasts. I'm a fan of, some people's YouTube content. And you're doing the same thing. You're trying to what I want to ask you here is, when you take in all this information, how do you parse out what's valuable to hold on to, what doesn't apply to you, and what's bullshit? How do you figure that all out?
Yeah. Well, I guess if it really sticks, or if it's something that I'm like, oh my God, that was amazing. Sometimes I even write it down, just like I'm reading an article and might highlight something. You know what I mean? So just little things like that really trigger something in me.
Yeah.
And also interesting when you talk to people, your podcasts are, for me anyways, it's interesting, but light and easy to understand. You're not talking so medically that somebody that doesn't know wouldn't know. You know what I mean?
That's only because I don't know enough about it to talk about it like that. But I appreciate that too, because, where I imagine some people would see that as the negative. I see that as more of a positive. I think it makes ideas more accessible to people. It allows them to hear something that they maybe would be interested in. Then they can go look into it on their own. It can't be my job to sit here for 27 hours and explain everything. Even if I did understand it, no one would listen to that.
Right.
That's the thing that I'm 100% sure of.
Right.
So, you have an idea or a thought or a wonderment, you say it out loud, and you just, I'm sure I've said stuff on here that's bullshit. I'm sure I've said stuff that if we go back and look at it, you'd be like, oh, that wasn't right at all.
Right.
I also know that I've said things that have helped people. I think apparently you're going to get to it at some point too with the GLP conversation. But I had a man come up to me and hug me recently.
Yeah.
I didn't know who he was. And he says, you don't recognize me. We met last year. And I said, I'm sorry, I don't know who you are. And he said, oh, it's possible you don't know me because I'm 80 pounds lighter than I was the last time you saw me. They started telling me about that, So, nevertheless, I really appreciate that you're a connoisseur of audio and that you like this. So thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Appreciate that. So tell me a little bit about this diabetes thing. You're diagnosed, what'd you say, when you were
I was 10.
10. Okay.
Yeah. So, luckily for me, because I did listen to the podcast the other day that broke my heart.
Oh.
Yeah, the man from England. Sorry, I can't remember.
John Story came on and talked about his daughter.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I feel like I was lucky at the time, because in 1989, my uncle, who was 30 at the time, in the Navy got diagnosed. So he had to leave the Navy and then he had this new life. And, when my symptoms started creeping up and stuff, maybe about 6 months later, my parents knew right away. And I was fortunately not in DKA or, I was sick, but I wasn't so sick that it couldn't be helped, or I was only in the hospital for about a week. And I remember that first shot of insulin making me feel better. Like I remember at 10 years old, how bad I felt and how good I felt after that first shot of insulin.
Really? Do you know what your A1C was when you were diagnosed?
No, I don't remember. And I actually kind of went on a deep dive to try to get all my records and stuff, but it's a huge process here. And I just didn't want to bother after, but I'm assuming it was probably like 12 or 13. And my blood sugar was probably reading off actually, no, back then we didn't even have the machines. We put our blood on these little strips. They were called precision strips. We wiped the blood off after an hour and compared the color to the color on the strip.
Wow.
On the container.
Wow. And
I remember mine was very, very, very dark blue. And I had ketones that were very dark red. So. And
as soon as that insulin hit you and started to bring your blood sugar down, a relief came over you?
It was like a relief. I just remember, I just felt better. I remember about a week before this happened, I was on a ski trip and I was skiing and I went maybe once or twice down the mountain and I was with school. So I wasn't, my parents weren't there to come and take me home right away. And I kind of laid in the lodge most of the time and just drank water because I was so sick.
Yeah. That sucks.
Yeah. So
it really is interesting.
Yeah.
Really, the most interesting thing you've said so far, and it has actually shocked me, is that you're trying to tell me that Canada has a Navy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So my uncle, he had his whole life, like 12 years or so in the Navy, and then he got let go. So he had to take his pension and stuff and start a whole new career.
Yeah, he was diagnosed and they booted him out?
Yeah. And that was in 1989. So, and I don't know if that's still a thing that they do, but they definitely did it then.
It's a thing here for sure.
Yeah.
89, the year I graduated from high school.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So.
Wow. So how is your uncle doing today?
Well, my uncle's not here with us anymore.
Oh.
I think he took that really hard and he was a closet drinker. Like we didn't actually know about his drinking problem until he died. So yeah, and he was very, very, very overweight and obviously didn't take care of himself. And that's what happened. That's what happened to my uncle.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
But he had type 1 his whole life.
He had type 1 since about 30 and he died at 68.
Yeah, I don't know why I was confused by that. Yeah, okay. So he lived with it for 38 years.
Yeah. And as far as I remember, the only complication he had was that he was obese, but he didn't have eye problems. He didn't have kidney problems. He didn't have all the things that we were so scared of happening back then, right?
Did the two of you ever talk about your diabetes together?
Oh, a lot. And he always used to give me, Natalie, you can't be eating that. You can't be eating that. And then I find out later that he was a closet drinker and, but I think he was just trying to protect me.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, just because he maybe wasn't doing it doesn't mean he didn't know, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That's something.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that with me. Thank you.
Yeah.
So you start off with wiping your blood on strips and look at where we are today.
Right? It's incredible. Yep. And I'm thankful for these things. Like, I can't believe how we used to do it and how we can do it now, and we're still far behind. Like living in Canada, I am still using the original Omnipod. We just got the approval for Omnipod 5 here in Canada, and I can't even get access to it yet because it's not approved in Alberta for the government program that covers our medical stuff.
All that stuff is bullshit.
All the bureaucracy. And we in Canada are probably the slowest to get all the things. We just got the Freestyle Libre 3 Plus, which I'm really thankful for. I love it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So tell me, have you always used the Libre or have you used other CGMs?
Well, I've used the Libre only because that's the one my insurance covers 100%.
Okay. How do you like it? Today's episode is brought to you by Omnipod. Did you know that the majority of Omnipod 5 users pay less than $30 per month at the pharmacy? That's less than $1 a day for tube-free automated insulin delivery. And a third of Omnipod 5 users pay $0 per month. You heard that right, 0. That's less than your daily coffee for all of the benefits of tubeless, waterproof, automated insulin delivery. My daughter has been wearing an Omnipod every day since she was 4 years old, and she's about to be 21. My family relies on Omnipod, and I think you'll love it. And you can try it for free right now by requesting your free starter kit today at my link, omnipod.com/juicebox. Omnipod has been an advertiser for a decade, but even if they weren't, I would tell you proudly, my daughter wears an Omnipod. Omnipod.com/juicebox. Terms and conditions apply. Eligibility may vary. Why don't you get yourself that free starter kit? Full terms and conditions can be found at omnipod.com/juicebox. Diabetes comes with a lot of things to remember, so it's nice when someone takes something off of your plate. US Med has done that for us. When it's time for Ardent supplies to be refreshed, we get an email. Rolls up and in your inbox says, "Hi Ardent, this is your friendly reorder email from US Med." You open up the email, it's a big button that says, "Click here to reorder," and you're done. Finally, somebody taking away a responsibility instead of adding one. US Med has done that for us. An email arrives, we click on a link, and the next thing you know, your products are at the front door. That simple. usmed.com/juicebox or call 888-721-1514. I never have to wonder if Ardent has enough supplies. I click on one link, I open up a box, I put the stuff in the drawer, and we're done. US Med carries everything from insulin pumps and diabetes testing supplies to the latest CGMs like the Libre 3 and the Dexcom G7. They accept Medicare nationwide, over 800 private insurers, and all you have to do to get started is call 888-721-1514 or go to my link, usmed.com/juicebox. Using that number or my link helps to support the production of the Juicebox podcast.
Well, I like it because, like I said, we went from strips wiping our blood to, blood glucose machines and this. I mean, sure, it would be nice to have it all integrated into one, and hopefully eventually I'll get that, but I love it.
Yeah.
I have no complaints, really.
Your perspective is decades long. Yeah. That thing every three of them could fail and you'd be like, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened. So,
right. And you know what? I don't ever really get failures with those. Like, I don't remember the last time I called them to replace one for me. So I've been either really lucky or just, it works well for me.
Well, one way or the other, it's a hell of a lot better than wiping your blood on something and waiting to see what color it turns.
Right.
How did you even I guess the management back then really was just about, were you like regular and NPH or something?
Yeah. Regular and NPH, and then just counting our starches. And we didn't even really understand that because I was thinking about it today. And I was like, I remember we had like 3 starch choices, and then we had our protein, and then we had our milk. But back then, nobody knew that protein contributed to glucose as well. And nobody knew that having a glass of milk with your supper contributed to your glucose outcome as well. Back then, things were not a lot of knowledge. And my parents did the best that they could, but I don't think they really understood it. And my mom is still with me here today. She's 78 years old. Which I don't think she doesn't understand. You know what I mean? So,
you think to this day, she doesn't really get the whole thing?
No, she doesn't. And she'll be like, "Oh, I brought you a bag of cookies, Nat, and I made the diabetic friendly ones." I'm like, "Yeah, but Mom, there's still a ton of carbohydrates in these cookies."
They're friendly, though. Don't worry.
Like, you should have just made them the not diabetic friendly ones, because then I'd probably know how to count for them better.
Yeah. Well, that ship sailed. She's not going to pick this up at that point.
No, she means well, but
of course,
you know what I mean?
It does occur to me as you're talking to the concept of, I don't know what's happening with diabetes. Like, it's all just happening. Like, back then, right? You were, what'd you say, counting starches.
Yeah.
You didn't have good testing. And so you probably didn't even understand outcomes day to day, right? Like, what did you...
never.
No, just this thing's the wrong color and what?
Yeah. And I just knew how I felt if my blood sugar was low or how I felt if my blood sugar was high.
Okay.
And I also went through a period where I completely lied to my parents about everything. They'd be like, "Did you test your blood?" Because they kind of left it for me. So I was giving myself shots at 10 years old. I was doing this all on my own. And I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I did. I checked my blood and it looked like it was about 8 or 9, right? Because those colors had numbers too. So there was times that I didn't even do it for months and months and months and just lied.
For months?
Yeah.
Yeah. But tell me something. If you got back say you did test it and you got a reading back, did that mean that you bolused again? It didn't mean anything, right? It just meant that.
Right. We didn't. No,
Yeah.
maybe it meant that I didn't eat one less or one starch, or maybe I went for a quick walk around the block and did some jumping jacks at home. Like,
Okay.
because I understood enough about that exercise is going to drop your blood. So if my blood sugar was a bit high, I would go, put on some Bon Jovi in my bedroom and dance.
Bon Jovi. That's crazy.
Yeah. Maybe some Poison, White Snake, Skid Row. I don't know. I was really into that kind of music back in the day. So yeah.
I want to tell you, Arden met Bon Jovi's son somewhere recently. Perhaps the best gift that you can give to yourself or to a loved one is that of comfort. And this holiday season, if you use the offer code Juicebox at checkout at CozyEarth.com, you won't just be getting something that's comfortable, you'll also be doing it at quite a discount. We can talk about that in just a moment. Right now, I want to tell you that I use Cozy Earth towels every day when I get out of the shower. I sleep on Cozy Earth sheets every night when I get into bed. I'm recording right now in a pair of Cozy Earth sweatpants. I love their joggers, their hoodies, their shirts. My wife has their pajamas. And I know you're thinking, oh yeah, Scott, well, because they sent you a bunch of it for free. They did send me some for free, but I've also bought a lot on my own. So like I said earlier, Black Friday has come early at Cozy Earth. And right now you can stack my code Juicebox on top of their site-wide sale, giving you up to 40% off in savings. These deals are definitely not going to last. Get your shopping done now or get yourself something terrific at CozyEarth.com. Do not forget to use that offer code Juicebox at checkout. You will not be sorry.
What?
Like,
really?
yeah, like a couple years ago before, he's married to the Stranger Things girl now, isn't he?
Yeah.
But she met him somewhere, and I was like, and she's like, I almost had a shot with Bon Jovi's son, and I was like, oh, what happened? She goes, I don't know, it didn't work out.
Were you a little bit disappointed? Could you imagine being like sharing a father-in-law to Bon Jovi's son? How cool would that be?
I mean, either that or doesn't it sound like a lot of work on my part to like pretend, you know what I mean? Like I got to show up and pretend to be fancy. And then I don't know, or maybe not, maybe he's cool. Who would know?
Right?
That's interesting. His music's interesting as it didn't leave the time that it was popular in.
Right.
You know what I mean by that? Like if you enjoyed it then, I'm sure you still enjoy it now.
Well, it's still played on the radio now.
Oh, sure.
You know, it's one of those timeless things, I guess.
Yeah. I just don't think that any 20-year-old's going to like decide to pick up like a Bon Jovi obsession at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very specific. Anyway, good for them. I think they're having a baby or rented one or adopted. I'm not sure exactly what they did.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are growing up through that kind of like that thing. You're saying there's times for months you don't test, your parents don't know.
Yeah.
When you look up and technology shifts and all of a sudden you can test your blood sugar and you're a little more day-to-day involved, where were you at that point?
That was about 2000, the year 2000. That's when I remember using a bolus for the first time. That's when I remember going to rapid insulin.
Oh, okay.
So, and that's also, I think, when I got my first like insulin pen instead of using just needles. 2000. So that kind of started changing then. And also the blood glucose meters, they would be like a 5-second meter instead of a 30-second meter.
Right,
so
right.
Things like that. And then I had my son in 2010. So I went through my whole pregnancy in 2010 still like that. I didn't have a pump. I didn't have a CGM. I don't even know if they existed in 2010. Like I was still using long acting and short acting and checking my blood sugar with a glucose meter.
Right.
And probably about 20 times a day because I was completely obsessed with having perfect blood sugars when I was pregnant, which I did.
Yeah.
I almost wish now I could go back and have those good blood sugars again. My A1C was 5.5 my whole pregnancy. It was amazing.
So when there's the first shift happens in care, is that a moment to look back and say, okay, well, here's what's been happening to me? Like, do you know what your A1C was as care shifted right before it shifted and what happened to it after you went to daily injections?
No, you know what? The only thing I remember was before I was pregnant, because I knew that I wanted to become pregnant, I really started seeing my endocrinologist and the team that worked with her. And that's when I remember really being obsessed with my A1C and trying to lower and lower and lower it. And I think when I got pregnant, I started off at an 8. And then, within a month or two, it was right down to the 5s and stayed that way.
Are you telling me that, as regular MPHNs, the shift to what I assume was maybe like Humalog and Lantus,
Yeah.
it really didn't change a lot about how you thought about your health. It wasn't until the idea of a pregnancy that you drilled down. So you had the ability to drill down for that 10-year period, but you just didn't do it.
And maybe because that's when I really started to understand things.
Yeah.
And also that really put the fear in me about, I'm going to be this mother now. I need to be here for at least the next 40, 50 years for my son. So I really started like, okay, I don't want any complications. I want to be around and I want to be healthy. So that's when I really started shifting. And then 2014 is when I finally got coverage for a pump, because in Canada, we have government programs that covers it 100%. So that's when I finally decided, okay, I'm going to go onto this pump and I'm going to start using the Freestyle Libre 2. And that's what I did. And that's when things got even better for me.
Would you tell me how old you were when you got pregnant?
32. So I was a full-grown adult. You know what I mean?
Were you married at that point?
I was married. Yeah, I'm married again now, but I was married.
How long were you married before you got pregnant?
A year. We wanted to have a son or a child. We do I have a son, but we wanted to right away because the clock was ticking. And, I was always kind of scared of being pregnant because there were so many things that could go wrong with being pregnant.
Yeah, this is what I wanted to ask you. How much of your fear of all that do you think impacted getting married later, et cetera?
No, I think that was just timing. I didn't meet this man till I was 26, and then we got married at 30, and then I got pregnant at 32. So,
and then you got rid of him, 6 weeks later? How long?
I wish it was 6 weeks. No, it was 2.5 years. But I married again to a wonderful man, and our lives, me and my husband and my sons, couldn't be better now. So
that's lovely. That's lovely. Okay, so when you get pregnant, you're able to magically. You knew everything to do. How much does your effort have to shift to go from an A1C in the 8s to an A1C in the 5s?
Right. Well, it did. It shifted in, I don't even know. I don't even know how to explain it.
I know.
I think just something in my mind was like, you have to do this. And, like I said, I was checking my blood sugar 10 or 15 times a day. I seen my care team all the time. I had the most fantastic OBGYN that I saw every 2 weeks throughout my pregnancy. And it was more of, I think, a mental thing for me to make sure that I was doing all the right things. And he said to me at one time, Natalie, you're doing better than most of my patients that aren't type 1 diabetic. So just calm down a little bit. He was so supportive of me during that time.
But what's the difference in your effort from the higher A1C to the pregnancy A1C? Did you functionally do more, or do you think you were just same effort, different, you're putting it in different places?
More effort, more help for sure.
Help.
And I think I just
on that. Help from
the team, help from my endocrinologist, help from this amazing OBGYN that I saw.
So the 2-week check-ins, the 2-week check-ins were key to you.
Yeah. And he himself has a son that was diagnosed a few years before he started seeing me as a patient. So he really invested in me. He really took interest in me. And, I think that helped by having him as such a good doctor for me during that time. So
when you're going through that process in that time, are you constantly learning new stuff? Are you looking up every 2 weeks going, hi, I didn't know that before. I didn't know that before. I didn't know that before.
Not really, but I just really paid attention and really made sure that my blood sugars weren't going any higher than, say, 9. Because here in Canada, we do it differently. I don't know what a 9 would compare to in the States, like 180 maybe.
Are you telling me it's focus then? You shifted your focus to something else?
Maybe my focus. Yeah. Well, it probably was. I was just really, really, really obsessed with doing it and doing it well.
Okay. So it was your focus. It was your desire. Is there anything, you seem like you're a rather in touch with who you are person.
Yeah.
I'm making a leap, but I think that's true. So sorry to ask you, is there a reason that for self-esteem that you didn't care to do it for yourself earlier?
Before that? Well, and I think knowledge. And I think I just got used to just living, but not really, not that I didn't care, but I don't know how to explain it. I remember I've always been into the gym. I've always been an obsessive exerciser and I still am. But I would go to the gym and my blood sugar would be 20. That's probably 300, for you guys?
A 9 is 162, 20 is 360. There's a calculator at juiceboxpodcast.com if you want to use it.
Yeah. So I would go to the gym at 360 because I was scared to go to the gym any less than that because I was scared of dropping low. So I'd go work out and then my blood sugar would be half of that when I was done. And I lived that way for a long time. And I'm really shocked now that I don't have complications because of the way I lived. And I think I just got so used to what my blood sugars being so high that I felt good. Because I remember during pregnancy when they did start to normal out and become, normal in range, I felt like, oh, I feel hungry. I feel low. I feel, like my blood sugars felt low at a normal number because I was so used to it running high all the time. It was easy to run high all the time. Maybe that's why I didn't really do anything. It's a lot of work to make it normal.
Is it your expectation that if you were diagnosed now that you would not have gone through the trouble you went through prior?
I don't know.
Do you follow what I'm trying to get to, Natalie? Like I'm trying to understand. Once we figure out that the how is not that difficult, right? That it's almost the focus and the I don't know, the specificity you apply to taking care of the diabetes. Like I'm always, I guess, enamored with type 1 has so much effort that goes into it. Whether you have a 10 A1C, a 5, a 13, an 8, you're all putting a lot of effort into it. I'm hoping that we can put the effort in a place that ends up with the A1C that you want.
Right.
That you're looking for, that the variability that, you deserve and the stability of the number that you decide is good for you. Like, I'm not here to tell you what your blood sugar should be all day. Like, I have my own opinions and you can do whatever you want. But I'm trying to get across to people that it's not harder to do better.
Right.
This thing's as hard. It's always hard. It's hard at every level, but it isn't harder if you have a 13 than it is if you have a 5 or vice versa.
Right.
And I keep thinking that eventually someone's going to say something that gets that across to somebody.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and then I started thinking about like the kind of person you are. Like maybe you're just like, sometimes it sounds like you listen a fair amount, right? So like sometimes I'll interview those, I don't know, 18, 19-year-old kids and they're just like on it.
Right.
On the ball, they've got it together and you realize it's just who they are, right? Like it's not like, but you try to pick out of them, like, what is it about you that makes this your outcome? Yeah. And that's what I'm wondering about you. Like, would a Natalie diagnosis 10 years ago with a CGM have just been a 5.5 A1C? Or is it something about the age you are now, coupled with your experience, coupled with the pressure of having a baby? Like, is it all the process maybe?
Right. Yeah. Well, and I think who I am now, I'm a completely different person than I was then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was never academic. So maybe that has to do with it too. I know the ones that you've had on the show that do really well, they're academic. Like those, I remember the one little girl, she is going to go far to do something with her life. I never went to university. I never did those things, but I kind of figured it out on my own, I guess. And just some light bulbs went off and I thought, okay, like I really have to do this because I want to keep functioning as a, I want to be healthy.
So when you and that care team are thinking about your pregnancy, do you remember what they modeled to you to do? What did they tell you was important that led to that 5.5?
Well, I guess just the changing insulin needs during that time, right? Like I remember now I use about, say, 20 units-ish a day. And I probably did back then, even though I didn't really record anything or whatever. But my insulin needs went to 100 units a day for a while in my pregnancy. So I just remember how, how much it changed. And then it went right back down. And then, and maybe that's kind of how I figured it out.
Yeah. You get the expectation of, hey, your insulin needs are really going to go up. And they give you this low target that feels like it's not negotiable. So you use more insulin because your needs go up. You keep using that insulin until you get the target that you want. And then once the baby comes, now you have this new understanding of how varied insulin needs can be. And you continue to adjust as you go.
Yeah. And I remember the day that I had my son, he was cesarean section. I was kind of fighting with the nurses because they were like, no, you need to take this much insulin because this is what it says here. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I realized how quick my body went back to not having those pregnancy hormones. And I knew that I needed so much less.
Would have crushed you if you took all of that.
Oh, it would have 100%. It would have.
Just the day after the baby. Boom.
Almost that day. Just like starting the GLP-1 for me.
Okay.
I swear 8 hours later or the next day, because I remember it was an evening I took it. I was like, wow, I need a fraction of my insulin and I'm not hungry for the first time in my life. It was amazing.
Let me share something funny with you. I went out yesterday. I think I'm the grocery store bitch at my house. I went to everybody gets stuck with the job in a family. It's me. I run to the grocery store with the goal of getting back before, if I'm being honest, I want to get back before the football game started. I want to watch the football game with my son.
Yeah.
And so I didn't eat before I left. And I ran out with the store. I was coming back. I was driving home and I thought, oh no, am I getting sick? My stomach hurts. And I'm like, I feel nauseous. Like, this is crazy. I hate the way I feel right now. I'm going to be sick. Like, I'm driving. And then it hit me out of nowhere. It was Sunday.
You gave your shot.
And my shot was over 7 days old at that point. And I was like,
oh, okay.
I'm like, oh, I'm just hungry.
Right.
And I don't recognize what hungry feels like.
Yeah.
And it really was that. I was just hungry.
And you know what? Speaking of hunger, I think coming back to that question you asked me, what changed so much? When I was a kid from 10 years old until I started taking the Ozempic, I was hungry all the time.
Yep.
And I grew up with a family that my mom is Polish. She cooked good food. We had a lot of protein. We had a lot of variety. We had all the vegetables, but I was always hungry. And I'm lucky that I never ended up really overweight. So for me, taking that GLP-1 stopped that hunger, and it still works for me for that. And I have relief that I never knew would be this good. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'm a normal person now. My hunger is normal, like a normal human being. I'm not just starving all the time.
Yeah. There's a lot of different reasons for hunger with type 1s.
Yeah.
And, I can't just like rattle them all off the top of my head, but I even just like fluctuations of blood sugar as simple as like 90 to 150.
Yeah.
That if you drop it, I'm sorry, vice versa, 50 to 90, you're dropping, like your brain can interpret that as like, oh, I'm like hunger hormones will kick in.
Right.
So if you're bouncing around all the time, there's a situation where that could do the same thing. You got a bunch of, there's something about leptin. Like there's a lot I don't know.
Leptin, amylin, there's 5 other hormones, I guess, that play into that. And we as type 1 diabetics, we don't make insulin, but we also don't make those other hormones as far as I understand. And once I started that, that is the main reason that I'll stick to it forever. Yeah. Like, yes, I needed to lose 10 pounds. It was great. It helped out because like I said, I've always been in the gym. I've always been, as an adult, a fairly good eater. And perimenopause came and that 10 pounds came. And so I got rid of that and the hunger. And I don't want to ever go back to that feeling again.
I agree with you. Do you have anything else going on, like a hypothyroidism, PCOS? I'm trying to figure out.
I don't think so. I mean, here we only get the basic thyroid test. We don't get like the full panel, like you could probably get in the States. What's that other one? The iron,
your like ferritin level. Iron.
Yeah. My ferritin, I think it's not high, but it's not low. So sometimes I'll just take iron for a couple weeks just to see if it helps any, but I think I'm okay. Like my thyroid's on the lower end.
Okay.
As far as I know, this for me will stay forever. And I almost wish that I had this option as a teenager, because when I was a teenager, say from like 16 to 19, I was quite overweight.
Oh, okay.
If I would have had that option, then I think it would have helped my blood sugars, and I think it would have helped the weight. You know, I remember I look at pictures now of when I was young and I'm like, how the hell did that happen?
Right.
But
as an adult, you were only about 10 pounds overweight.
Yeah. But it bothered me because like I said, I'm an obsessive exerciser. I like to stay in shape. I like to look fit. I like to be that person. It's just who I am.
Yeah, that's all cool. I was asking because I was trying to figure out, is it the exercise that kept the weight off you? So you gained weight as a child, you knocked it off with exercise. Is that right?
Right. Okay. Yeah. And then that's probably what helped me, till the perimenopause age where I did gain a little bit of weight. But because I exercised so much. How
do you end up on a GLP then? I don't want to say only.
I know, right?
Yeah. If you only had 10 pounds to lose, then what was the pathway to it?
So I went to my endocrinologist and I said to her, like, I'm listening to this podcast. I've heard other people's stories about how just taking a small amount of the GLP-1 for type 1s could be super helpful. with the hunger.
Mhm.
That's what I set it for, with the hunger. And sure, I want to lose a little bit of weight. My endocrinologist prescribed it for me at the starting dose, but I told her, I'm not going to take the starting dose. I'm going to click that pen 16 times, which gives me half of the starting dose. And I did that. And like I said, it was immediate results. And I did that for about a year until I started noticing the hunger come back a tiny bit. And then I decided to go to the full 0.25. So the starting dose.
Wow.
So now that's what I've been doing for about a year and have no plans to go higher or no plans to go lower. You know what I mean?
So initially speaking, it quelled your hunger. You lost the 10 pounds. How quickly?
2 months. I remember waking up one day in bed and I was like getting ready for work. And I'm like, wait, clothes don't fit me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, and it's not like I'm super small now. It's just that little 10 pounds of fluff that I got from perimenopause is gone.
Yeah.
And I just feel better because maybe if I wouldn't have done that, I would have had 30 pounds by now.
Yeah, very possibly. And your
Right?
your insulin needs have reduced by how much? What do you think?
I would say, I don't know percent wise, but I would say at least 6 or 7 units per day.
What's your total a day now?
So about 20 to 22-ish.
And you're thinking before it was more like 30.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the week before my period, because we all know that that week is horrible for us as women with type 1 diabetes, women or children even, because I was super young when I got mine.
Mm-hmm.
That week before, my insulin was always like tripled. Now it's a little bit more the week before, but it's not quite as much as it was.
So you didn't lose a ton of weight. That's not what we can lean on. Is it just hunger? Are you just eating less so you're using less insulin, or do you think you have insulin resistance?
So I'm using less insulin, yes. So I think I had a little bit of insulin resistance, even though I didn't need a lot of insulin.
Mm-hmm.
And the hunger. And I just feel like I spike a little bit less after meals.
Yeah.
And
You don't have to correct then. No, you kind of got like a catch-all effect from it because sounds like you lost a little weight, which helps with your insulin use. Sounds like you're eating less, which helps with your insulin use. And it sounds like you maybe had some insulin resistance, probably from the perimenopause, like time of your life.
Yeah.
And it just helped you in those 3 different areas, and it made a big difference for you.
Oh, I have one more thing to add to that before I forget, because it's very important.
Do it.
I had some shoulder problems, which is very common in type 1 diabetes, frozen shoulder.
Yeah.
I think I was heading there. It wasn't quite there yet. But I swear a week after I started taking that, my shoulder pain went away and it's still gone. And I had this shoulder pain for about a year.
I love that. I don't know how to attribute it, but I could also tell you that I feel much better in a lot of ways that I don't know how to quantify.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's supposed to help with inflammation and stuff, right? So maybe there was some inflammation. Maybe frozen shoulder is a scary thing. So I'm glad that helped with that.
I had another person say to me the other day, like, well, I don't want to use this forever. And I was like, I think you're thinking about it wrong.
Yeah.
I think you're still thinking about it like it's a weight loss drug.
Right.
Yeah. You got to see the bigger picture a little bit.
Well, and my endo told me that day, if you start this, you're going to have to use it forever. She said that because she's told me if you stop taking it, you might gain that 10 pounds back and then you might gain 10 more right away. So you're going to have to use this forever. And I was like, well, I don't care. I'm using insulin forever anyways.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, was that said to you like it was supposed to be scary or pejorative or?
No, I think she was just woman to woman because we're about the same age. We were pregnant at the same time. She was saying like, if you start this, Natalie, like just know that you can't just stop and expect that your body's going to be exactly the same. Even though, like I said, I wasn't going to her saying, I need to lose weight. I need to, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I really don't think that these GLP-1s are just for people that need to lose weight.
No, I don't either. I fantasized the other day. I want to make sure everyone understands this is a fantasy of mine, that they could put a tiny, tiny bit of it in insulin. So you didn't even have to microdose it. You just got a tiny little zhuzh of it every once in a while. Like obviously I'm just saying something that's probably never going to happen. Mostly I don't imagine you could even mix them together. But I look at my daughter and I hear your story.
Yeah.
And I think, like, look at you. You started with half of a beginning dose. And people should know that beginning dose of, Wegovy, or Ozempic, you had Ozempic, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The beginning dose of that is almost like nominal.
Yeah.
You took half of it.
Half of it.
Right.
And And I even had side effects. Like for the first few weeks, I didn't feel great. Yes, I was not hungry and that was great. But I was like, I don't know if I can do this for a long time because I felt nauseous. I kept having a lot of low blood sugars and stuff, but I stuck it out. And after about that 3-month mark, I had no more nausea. I had no more, of those side effects. And I was like, yep. Yeah. I'm glad that I did that because maybe my body just needed to get used to it.
Somebody in my personal life, so not somebody I spoke to through the podcast, was telling me like that. They're like, well, I've lost 25 pounds already, but like, I don't know, like I feel. And I was like, you will shut up and just keep doing it. I said, yeah. Because you're going to come through the other side of it very likely. And an acquaintance of mine, somebody I knew a lot better when I was younger, is probably 3 years older than me, went home the other night from dinner, ate dinner, stood up and died.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And last time I saw that person, I did think like, oh, he's looking a little like pale, a little heavy, like something. Right. And I'm sitting there all like thin and looking 10 years younger and everything. And he's like, oh, you look terrific. And I said, oh, I'm just using a GLP medication.
Yeah.
And somebody at the table said, oh, but aren't you going to have to take that for the rest of your life? And I remember saying there, well, it's better than the alternative, which is me probably having a heart attack.
Right. Exactly.
And now 6 months later, he's gone. Like he was there while we were having that conversation.
Yeah.
It's such a hard thing to talk about because I think we're not going to have a full grasp of what it's doing for a really long time. And I think the full grasp is only going to come from conversations like this where people are just telling you, hey, look, I'm seeing my shoulder stopped hurting.
Yeah.
Or the people you want to tell you what the drug does, they're only going to do studies on it if they think it's a valuable thing. Like, and by that, I mean, if they can get a lot of prescriptions out of it. So they're never going to do a study as to whether or not that made your shoulder stop hurting.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not going to be a study. If there were 80 billion people whose shoulders hurt, then they do a study on it and find out right away because then they could prescribe it for it.
Yeah.
So a lot of this is going to be just, people telling their stories. And that's what that's how you're going to have to figure out what this does. But my point is that the dosing of it, that's frustrating to me because Arden doesn't need a whole pen full of it.
No.
Right. And so awesome. We can, we figured out how to microdose it for her. But even at that, like, I'd love to know is there value in this being like even less, but every day? Like, I'm not asking her to take 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? But haven't you wondered, like, how many are you, what do you shoot a week?
Well, now I'm doing the 0.25, which is the starting dose.
The 0.25. But imagine if it was in a vial and you took out like, I don't know, a small percentage of that every other day. And what if it lessened some of your side effects or whatever? I don't know. Like,
I
think there's so much ceiling there and we're not going to get to it because you can't study it that way because then it's too variable. And if it's variable, then you can't prescribe it like that. Then they can't make any money with it.
But I look at it kind of like it's not insulin, but we as diabetics, we don't all have just one dose of insulin that's prescribed to us. We're all so different with our metabolisms and with our needs. And you know what I mean? So I kind of look at it the same.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it maybe is the people with diabetes are uniquely qualified to think about it because they're one of the few people in the world who's accustomed to taking their medication, opening it up and deciding for themselves how much of it to take.
Well, and that we know we're going to take it for the rest of our lives. So that's not a problem. Like that's not even a thought in my brain.
It does really show you the difference between people who have to live with diabetes or know somebody living with it versus somebody who doesn't, because that like, oh, but you'd have to take it forever. And I'm like, what do you care? First of all.
Yeah.
Like you can see where their consternation comes from. They're not accustomed to that at all.
Right. Yeah. And for us also in Canada, we're lucky because it's not expensive here. I mean, I have to do it. I don't get it covered through my insurance because it's, I'm a type 1 and that's not a thing yet. Mm-hmm. But I spend $270 for 2 months of it. And I guess in January, they're going to start something here where they're allowed to make it generically because of some sort of contract that went wrong.
Yep.
So they're going to be selling it for like $40 to $80 a pen.
You are going to start getting a lot of biosimilars in Canada. Yeah. I think I can't tell you why I know that, but there are going to be more biosimilar GLP medications in Canada in the coming couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's going to become incredibly affordable.
Yep. Yeah. So that makes me happy.
Yeah, no kidding. But even at this moment, what are you paying? Like $20 a week for it, basically?
Yeah. Well,
like
maybe
that?
a little more.
Yeah.
Because what's 8 weeks divided by 270?
I don't know, but in today's economy, that sounds like a bag of Doritos. Like, what is, things
Right?
are so damn expensive now. Like, you know what I mean? It's like 3 gallons of gas or you living
for
happier.
a while there, when we still were allowed to have it compounded, I was getting it compounded and it was a fraction of that price.
Mhm.
So, but then they stopped that here too. So
My real hope is that it could be a daily pill at some point and work as well as the injectable. I don't know if that can happen or not, but I hope for that, because I do think you're also missing out on a lot of people who are just like, wow, that's a needle.
right. Exactly.
Even last night, I took mine last night and I got it out during the day. I usually let it come to room temperature before I put it in. And I don't even know if that makes a difference. I just think it's just the thing I do. And I forgot about it. Like, I didn't do it for a couple hours. And then yesterday I was kind of like rushing around at the end of the day, and the pen's sitting there. I was like, oh, let me just do this while I'm thinking about it. And I didn't even have time to come up and record and do the whole thing I usually do for the weight loss diary, because also my journey through all this is like really changing now. Like, I don't want to talk about it here, but you'll hear it at some point in that weight loss diary. Like, I've lost the weight now.
Yeah.
It's weird to be where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
I know I need the thing, and so I grab it. And there's like a half a second where I hold it up and I'm like, oh, I hope this doesn't hit like a blood vessel or something, or hurt or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, and I had that pause. I was like, oh, don't hurt. And then I put it in and I thought, I wonder how many people are stopped by that who would take a pill if it,
for sure.
Yeah, if it existed.
There's got to be a lot of them.
Yeah, no kidding. I appreciate you talking about that. It's still a lot of people give people crap about it. So there's still people not wanting to talk about it all the time. So I appreciate that. So you talked about in your note about like a constant learning and growth with type 1 diabetes. And I mean, you've had it for so long, and you're, like you said, now using a CGM and a pump and using a GLP. Like, you're obviously on the cutting edge of this here. You're one algorithm away from being, as cutting edge as possible.
Yeah.
Tell me about the journey. Like, what sticks out in your mind when you think about it?
Well, I just remember so much about being a young adult and a teenager and how differently I lived to now. And I really am proud of myself where I've come. Like, and a lot of people that have issues, they're complaining about it all the time, but I just choose to, like, okay, if this is my life, this is how I have to live. And that's it. Yeah.
Was there a time in your life where you were complaining about it all the time?
100, of course. I remember being a kid and telling my parents, I wish you guys didn't have me because this happened to me. It's your fault. You know what I mean?
Awesome.
Yeah.
I bet you they were thrilled.
Well, and I'm sure that happens with others. Like, as a kid, you feel sorry for yourself, and you feel you should, because, well, not you should. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just, it's hard. It's a hard thing for kids. And I guess I'm kind of glad I was in the era of scare tactics. My mom used to tell me, if you don't take care of yourself, I'm going to be walking you down that aisle in a wheelchair. I remember doctors telling me, you're going to be blind by the time you're 30. You're going to lose your fingers and toes. Like, there was a lot of scare tactics. So I think that's always played in the back of my mind too.
Sticks. Did you ever develop any kind of eating disorders or anything along the way?
No, not eating disorders, just that constant hunger. I think I maybe a disordered exercise. I think that I kind of am, but that's okay. There could be worse things to be addicted to, I guess. I would eat and then go exercise as much as I could to try to make up for it. But I'm in the gym doing a lot of weight training now because that's super important at this age. Mm-hmm. And also using a GLP-1, you want to make sure to get as much muscle on your body as you can. But I went through the whole, being addicted to running, being addicted to spin classes, being addicted to yoga, like just everything. And I couldn't really feel good about myself in a day unless I did that. Right. And now it's more of I'm doing it because it makes me feel good, but also because I want to live long, and I don't have to worry about weight because that's taken care of. Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing to be lifted off your shoulders too. Yeah. I can't tell you how much more freeing it is. I'm doing a talk in a couple weeks somewhere. Oh, it might be sooner than I think. I haven't thought once about like what I'll look like while I'm doing it. And it's such a great thing to not have to think about.
Well, exactly. That was like me. I was in Greece for 5 weeks this summer, and, I'm 47 years old, and I didn't at one time ever think, I don't want to put my bikini on and go to the beach. Like, I was ready, Yeah. And that's a nice feeling to have at my age.
I sat on the beach in a chaise lounge this year, and Arden took my picture, and I didn't go, oh, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
It just happened and I was like, okay with it.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds like such a small thing, but I think there are things that live in your head. I'll share this here. This happened this morning.
Yep.
And I think people know that, generally speaking, I don't count myself as a very anxious person or anything like that. Right.
Right.
I don't know. I see problems. I try to take care of them, move forward, that kind of stuff. I have 2 brothers and one's 5 years younger than me. One's 5 years younger than him.
Okay.
And the middle brother texts this morning. We have a chain. We talk together and all the time. And he says he's been using a GLP. Now, my brother had pre-diabetes.
Right.
As did my mom, my dad. So his mom, his dad, his grandfather, great grandmother, like a lot of type 2 diabetes are in my family. I'm adopted, but
yeah.
And so he was gaining weight. His A1C was going up. He's trying all this stuff. They got him on metformin. It's making him miserable. His A1C is not going down. It's not helping anything. They finally get him to start a GLP over maybe 2 years ago now, a year ago. He's talking this morning about, oh my God, my weight's here. It's never been this low before. I feel terrific, blah, blah, blah. I was finally able to get it for his wife. She's already lost 25 pounds, helping her with some other stuff. I'm just happy to see him texting that he's doing well. Our little brother pops in, congratulates him, etc. 2 hours later, I'm doing the dishes and I'm wearing my headphones. I'm listening to a podcast. I don't know how the rest of you have your text set up, but my texts get announced and read to me while I'm wearing my headphones.
Right.
And my brother, my youngest brother, has been in the middle of a reorganization at his job for a couple of years now. His company bought another company, but somehow the company they bought, that's the leadership they were using, not his. So his company bought it, but the leadership came from the place that was bought. So he was in a lot of flux. He didn't know where he was going to be with his job. And he texts that he got a job offer today, which was a big deal because they're going to move him into another position, but moreover, they're planning on keeping him. He was very worried that he wasn't going to get to stay. The text gets read into my ear and I burst into tears. Mm-hmm. I don't mean a little bit. I didn't have a tear come out. I got uncontrollably started crying.
Aw.
I realized, in the half an hour afterwards, because first of all, Arden walked in the room eventually. She's like, were you crying? And I was like, I was. And I had to tell her why. And I said, I think I've been worried about my brothers for 40 years. You know what I mean? And then in the last 2 years, the youngest one's really worried. He's like, I think I might lose my job here, not even because I'm bad at it or nothing, but because, there's going to be an overlapping. And what if I'm not the guy they choose to stay and blah, blah, blah. And I've been worried about him. But if you would have asked me yesterday, are you worried about your brother? I would have said no.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I obviously in the background somewhere I was.
Yeah. You weren't consciously aware. And then.
I mean, honestly, my eyes popped open and water came flying out. And I was I was so grateful he was okay.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking how much other stuff in my life is it in there? You know what I mean? Then I started thinking about, God, imagine how much I care about these kids compared to my brothers. Background stuff that's pressuring you all the time that you never know about. What am I going to look like when I get to this talk and I have to stand up on the stage in front of these people?
Right.
I think you don't realize that that's probably with you all the time. And just that one thing being lifted is really awesome.
Well, and it's okay to have those thoughts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's okay to want to look good and feel good.
I do think we probably went through a social time where you weren't allowed to say that,
Right. Exactly.
But I do think that might be gone now too.
Yeah.
And I'm not embarrassed to tell you that this is better.
Yep.
Yeah.
For sure.
I feel better now. So
I have a girlfriend at work, about the same age as me. She's not a diabetic, but she's wanting to help herself and stuff. And I convinced her to do what I did to start because she tried a GLP-1 before and it made her really sick. So I'm like, why don't you try to do it like I did? Stick to it. Just take a small dose for a few months and I bet you're going to feel better. Yeah. A week later, she's already like, yep, I can tell that I've been using it, but I don't have that same sickness. So thank you.
Yeah. So my sister-in-law, 20 some pounds in 3 weeks. And she had to really fight for it too, by the way. I still bumped into somebody the other day who was like, oh, are you taking that drug because you don't have willpower? And I was like, wow, awesome.
Yeah.
Just in this conversation, the person you just told me about that you helped, my brother, my sister-in-law, me, my wife, my daughter's insulin resistance, all the other little things, and trying to keep in mind the idea of all the stuff that you're shouldering mentally that you don't realize from stuff like this.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody could hear those stories and then be about it later.
Oh, right. Of course.
I just think they don't know when they're saying, oh, you took that drug because you don't have any willpower. I'm like, oh, yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. Tell me a little more about your mental illness. You were saying about the running. I always think of people who run. Oh, yeah, as hiding something or covering something up.
Maybe I was, and maybe it was just. I really do find that exercise gives me that drug that people talk about. You get addicted to. It really does.
Okay.
So, and I really got it with running. I wasn't doing long distances or anything, but I would go push myself for 5-7 kilometers and be hitting really good times.
I like that you think 7 kilometers isn't a long distance.
Right? Yeah. But, it for me, it wasn't. And it was great. And I just find that now in a different way. That's not so much cardio. I need that drug, and that's where I get it.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's a bad. I think exercise is terrific. And I do think it's a great way to relieve stress and anxiety. And I think it does help people with their mental health to a certain degree as well.
Yeah.
There's a lady I can picture right now running around my neighborhood. And when she's running, I keep thinking, what's she running from?
Yeah.
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 It seems like something.
Well, maybe she's just happy she's not in jail. I don't know.
That'd be great if what she's thinking is, if I wasn't running like this, I'd be killing people.
Yeah.
My gosh. What else have we not talked about? I really want you to, because you're a podcast person, you're going to know if this sucks.
No, I think we did really good.
Oh. Well, no, I mean, I did terrific, but I know you.
Well, of course.
No, you were excellent too. You could tell you really pivoted well through this conversation. There's some people who, when I zig and zag, I can hear the pause. They're almost oh, we're not talking about that thing anymore. But you did not do that once. You just kept bobbing and weaving.
You.
No, it was awesome. But I don't want to cut you short though. I want to make sure, I understand why you came on. I understand your story. Understand the value you found in different things. Is there anything else? You've had diabetes a long time. I don't want to say something cliched. Do you have a message?
I guess I want to kind of give a shout out to the parents out there. This is crazy. And I want all the parents to know that eventually, if you're going through a rough time, it gets better. I went through all of that stuff as a teenager, and I kind of needed to figure it out on my own. Mm-hmm. And I did, you can't say anything. My mom told me, if you don't take care of yourself, I'm going to be pushing you down the aisle in a wheelchair. Well, that never happened. And I just had to figure those things out on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The key to that, because I believe that's completely true. How do you give away the idea that what if they don't get to it fast enough, or they have a real problem in between? How do I keep them healthy now and let them have these experiences so that they can be healthy later as adults? So that's the $1 million question right in there.
Well, 100%, because some of us maybe just had better or had good DNA, right? Maybe if I was somebody else, because I do know of a lot of people that have had things go sideways, maybe just my body let me live through all of that and still be okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's funny because this comes up a lot, and I'm always caught at the crossroads of this idea. It worked out for you, so that's an easy thing for you to say. Right now, if I found another 47-year-old person who said, oh, it took me 20 years to get to it. I had to get to it on my own, but I got to take care of myself. I do have trigger finger now, neuropathy, and I'm starting to have a little trouble feeling my feet.
Right. Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, how you receive that message is awfully different. Yeah.
Well, now that you bring that up, I will mention I do have Dupuytren's syndrome, and I've had many trigger fingers. I've had to have surgery on those. But it's been about 6 years now, and my hands feel great. And I attribute that to taking better care of myself and stuff too. So I think that some of the things that come up can be reversed or not made any worse. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. So by the time you get to me, what do you need me for? I know you enjoy it, but didn't you already have the information from the doctors and the pregnancy? Yeah. So what do you take out of this then?
What do I have you for? Well, like I said, just those little tidbits of learning every day. I'm inspired when I listen to the podcast, even if it's, not relevant to my life, or just, I just really like it. And this is where I found most of the information that I enjoy getting. From a young age, I didn't like to go sit with a doctor because doctors can be very, gaslighting. They can be very demeaning. They can be very I'm sure there's some good ones out there, but I haven't really experienced any. Even the one I have now, she's great, but she's very militant. And sometimes I feel like when I'm talking to her, I'm a child and I don't really like that. You know what I mean? So that's important. And I just really hope that anybody that's struggling finds you and can help, that it can help them as well. You know?
Thank you. So are you telling me that like it keeps you connected?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
Like the pregnancy made you focus and maybe this is keeping you focused?
I guess. Yeah.
Isn't that interesting that you don't really, I find that's so fascinating because I don't know either. Like I want to be 1,000,000% clear to anybody listening or to you, Natalie, that I am aware of how valuable the podcast is because of all the feedback that comes from it.
Yeah.
But if you told me to sit down right now and like write out a master plan of why the podcast is valuable, I'm like, I don't know that I even understand that exactly.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so like, I almost ask you guys the question thinking one of you is going to explain to me what it is I do.
Well, because sometimes you're very hard on yourself and you don't think you do enough, but I don't think you really realize how much you've done for even the old school people like me. Yeah. Honestly.
Well, that's nice. I appreciate you saying that.
You know?
Yeah.
So
I'm happy that the podcast, I was thinking the other day, actually, you know what? It's super interesting that you said that the way you just said it, because I just put up a post on Instagram, which by the way, nobody will see because I'm old and nobody follows me on Instagram. But I put up a post. It's a review for the podcast from March of 2015.
Right.
Along with a review for the podcast from like 2 days ago.
Right.
And the truth is, they're the same review.
Uh-huh.
And I was super proud of the consistency that I think I've brought to this.
Yeah.
Because it's 10 years later, 11 seasons of the podcast. So it's 10 on the calendar, 11 for my life making the show. And somebody had an experience 2 weeks ago that was incredibly positive and rooted in the same things that somebody had that same experience in March of 2015. And I thought, like, that's so cool. But I'm different now. Like, I don't do the podcast the same way as I used to. I think I'm a better listener. I don't try as hard to be funny. Mm-hmm. Like, I think there's things I've done over the years that have changed this, but still there's something at the core of it. And the reason it bothers me so much is because I do think we could bottle it.
Right.
Like, I do think there's a way for other people who aren't podcast listeners or are never going to find this or whatever. Like, I do think there's got to be, like, not your militant doctor, not your mom's trying to scare you. Like, I think there's a mix of the whole thing, a potion that could be brought up. And I think that could be sprinkled over a lot of people and they could have a lot of great outcomes. And I do think the answer exists inside of this podcast. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think that when you hear me being hard on me, it's me trying to figure out what it is before it's too late. And too late can mean anything. Too late could be me getting too old to do it. Too late could mean podcasts stop being a thing. Too late could mean the advertisers tell me to go to hell and I can't afford to keep making it. Like, there's a lot of things that could bring this to an end that aren't my decision.
Could maybe, okay, but it's on the internet, so it's there forever.
Yeah, I know, but that doesn't work that way, because if it worked that way, we'd also be watching MASH every night, because that show was pretty perfect.
I guess.
Yeah. If it worked, seriously, go right now and go watch MASH. You'll love it. It's awesome, but nobody...
I don't know. I hated it as a kid when my dad would always put it on, but...
That's fine. I loved it.
Okay.
Fine. You go find another show that you loved 40 years ago, and I'm telling you, you could still watch it now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We keep changing. So one day, this podcast will dry up and blow away. Like, it just will. And there's going to be another person named Natalie who could really benefit from it, and they'll never even know it existed. And that vexes me. So when you're hearing me be hard on myself, like, some version of that story is what's in the back of my head.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think I'm magical or perfect, or I am really trying to tell you that I don't know what the blend is, but the blend works.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I can't remake it. It's almost like, it's like me trying to remake my grandmother's stuffing.
Right.
I don't think I'm doing it. I'm just getting close to it. And I'm worried that, like, that's what's going to happen to the podcast one day, is that other people will just be out there going, like, I think this was about what he meant, and we won't know. I don't know. It's a very weird position to be in, to create something that's been this impactful for so many people, and that I can't really functionally explain to you what it is.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So,
well, it took a strong person like you to make it happen. Well, so we're all thankful.
You're delight. Thank you.
You're the celebrity of type 1.
Natalie, I would like it if you walked behind me and said something like that about every 45 minutes. How would that be? That'd be awesome. I'm going to give you my phone number. You just text me inspirational stuff that's only for me.
Right? Exactly.
But that'd be a nice business.
Well, I need to start my own business at some point because I have a lot of things on my mind all the time. You know what I mean? I just need to learn how to get it out there.
Can I tell you what my first business idea was that I'm so always going to be absolutely just distraught that I didn't try?
What's that?
Dirty greeting cards.
Dirty greeting cards?
Yes. Like really filthy, explicitly not what you expect on a greeting cards.
Right. Well, that you could probably still do that.
Does anybody use a greeting card now?
Well, maybe they can start again.
And can you really shock people at this point?
Well, that would be the hard part. You're right.
Yeah. I don't know. My best, I can't even tell you. It's so disgusting, Natalie. Never mind. But anyway, I thought they would sell like great.
Yeah. Well, there's a niche for everything, right?
Can you imagine that I just said I had an idea and I thought it was so disgusting I couldn't tell you, and I'm not telling you? And then the people who really listen to the podcast are like, usually he says that, then he says it anyway, but he's not going to say it. They're going to be
like, what is really underneath all of this?
So let me just tell you what it was. It was, I can't. No, it was about Santa Claus and the frequency in which he comes to see you.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, yeah.
That's funny.
I made one by hand once and gave it to my friend for Christmas.
Yeah.
And we were pretty young. And his mom hung it on the refrigerator because she thought it was hilarious.
Yeah. Well, but
when I came to the house and it was on the refrigerator, I was mortified.
Yeah. That's funny. But did you know Santa only comes once a year?
Yeah, that was the crux of the joke. There was more setup. The joke was in the setup. I don't really need to explain it all to you. But nevertheless, it was, I think, the greatest Christmas card ever.
Yeah.
And although one year I did take a classic manger scene and painstakingly photoshopped the faces of my family into the manger scene and sent it out. And it was a beautiful image, like really like a gorgeous, rich, lush image, and never told anybody that our faces were in it.
Right.
And so some people noticed and some people didn't. And it was absolutely fantastic. But my son was our dog was one of the, I don't know, burrows or something. There was an animal in the image, and one of them was our dog, and his face was on the animal. I think Arden was like the baby Jesus. It was a whole thing. But I really enjoyed the hell out of it. Some people,
it's your creative outlet.
Some people were offended. I just want to say. All right, Natalie, you're really awesome. I appreciate you doing this.
Oh, thank you.
I don't know what to call this episode. But,
I was going to say, we didn't even make a name.
Yeah, at one point I said it's $1 million question. I wondered how much that was in loonies. And then I thought maybe we could call it the whatever loonies question.
Or we could call it like, did my daughter almost marry Bon Jovi's son? I don't know.
See, it gets very wordy. Yeah, Natalie, we can't do it. But hold on a second. How many loonies in 1 million US dollars? Let's see if maybe it'll be
not enough. And let me tell you, I was, like I said, just in Greece, and our Canadian money compared to the euro is terrible.
But I could call this episode apparently the 1.390 loony dollar question.
You could.
Here's where we do this, Natalie. Watch this. This is what would usually happen after we pause the show and I say goodbye to you. But instead, I'll do it before I say goodbye.
Okay.
Watch this. Hey, Rob, we cursed a number of times in this. I said for sure. I said a couple of, I might have said bullshit. You'll decide if it flows or not. And I can't find a title for this one. So if you hear it, can you please pull it out and put it in the notes for me? That's what I would have said after I got done recording so Rob could hear it.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Natalie. Hold on 1 second for me.
Okay.
This episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by the Omnipod 5. And at my link, omnipod.com/juicebox, you can get yourself a free, what'd I just say? A free Omnipod 5 starter kit. Free? Get out of here. Go click on that link, omnipod.com/juicebox. Check it out. Terms and conditions apply. Eligibility may vary. Full terms and conditions can be found at omnipod.com/juicebox. Links in the show notes, links at juiceboxpodcast.com. The conversation you just enjoyed was brought to you by US Med. usmed.com/juicebox or call 888-721-1514. Get started today and get your supplies from US Med. A huge thanks to Cozy Earth for sponsoring this episode. Don't forget, Black Friday has come early at CozyEarth.com. Right now, you can stack my code JUICEBOX on top of their site-wide sale. This is going to give you up to 40% off in savings, and these deals are definitely not going to last. I'm talking about sheets, towels, clothing, everything they have. Get that holiday shopping going right now today. Do it. CozyEarth.com. Use the offer code JUICEBOX. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back very soon with another episode of the Juicebox Podcast. If you're not already subscribed or following the podcast in your favorite audio app like Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please do that now. Seriously, just to hit follow or subscribe will really help the show. If you go a little further in Apple Podcasts and set it up so that it downloads all new episodes, I'll be your best friend. If you're looking for community around type 1 diabetes, check out the Juicebox Podcast private Facebook group, Juicebox Podcast, Type 1 Diabetes. But everybody is welcome. Type 1, Type 2, gestational, loved ones, it doesn't matter to me. If you're impacted by diabetes and you're looking for support, comfort, or community, check out Juicebox Podcast, Type 1 Diabetes on Facebook. I created the Diabetes Variables series because I know that in type 1 diabetes management, the little things aren't that little, and they really add up. In this series, we'll break down everyday factors like stress, sleep, exercise, and those other variables that impact your day more than you might think. Jenny Smith and I are going to get straight to the point with practical advice that you can trust. So check out the Diabetes Variables series in your podcast player or at juiceboxpodcast.com. The episode you just heard was professionally edited by Wrong Way Recording, wrongwayrecording.com.